So I have no idea what's going to come in. I know I didn't give you guys any warning at all. And that's because I had no warning. I had no warning at all. Hi. So I'm so excited though. I know that this is basically just an energetic transmission, and I have no idea what's going to come out of my mouth. It could be butterflies. I have no idea. I'm glad to see you all. I was told to do this transmission right now, and they gave me a little bit of, they gave me a very little bit of information. Someone's attracted to my crown chakra. Don't get lost this time. So the last time, if you've been watching any of these, you'll know that my speech, when the energy comes through, my speech gets very disjointed. I usually don't finish my sentences. I change topics all the time. So I found that a little bit disconcerting, and I imagine that many of you did as well. I asked about that, and I was asking for it to stop because I find it obnoxious. It's difficult to listen to. My guides, lots of stuff has happened. One of the things I found information out about that. So, you know, I've said that I know that in the future, I'm very aware that the information that is going to come through is going to come through in a way that is far more understandable by both sections who are listening. That is, the people who still need to process things in a linear way are going to find it easier because it's going to be codified in a more linear fashion, and they're going to be able to understand it. Also, the people who are moving into more of a telepathic understanding, who are eager or find it easier to receive larger quantities of information, whose minds are already functioning in a more quantum way, are going to have a much easier time understanding me as well. What they're doing right now, they have told me that the reason my communication is breaking up so much, but they don't want me to wait until it's perfect. They say, don't let that stop you. Keep doing it, because what this is, we're doing communication. Let me rephrase that. We're doing circuitry adjustment with the population as I speak. They're checking the connections to find out where the breaks are. So there's a tremendous amount of information that wants to come through. And we've been having a very difficult time because of the construct, because certain people have been deliberately not allowing things to flow. They are being removed. Amputated, almost surgically taken out. There's a great deal of things that when these breaks in my speech happen, that's telling them where the break is. They're watching the circuitry, and everybody who's listening is assisting with the process, which is why it's very important to get as many people on here as possible, because every time, if you're listening to me, that's a circuit, and we're trying to make sure that all of the information can get through in both directions. This is assisting with our group telepathy, development of group telepathy. As we proceed, it's going to get much more fluid and broader as well. The circulation system, it's kind of like in areas where the connection is functioning like a capillary, it's going to grow to a vein, it's going to grow to an artery type of thing. But all of these channels need to dilate further. And what it's enabling us to do, we are in the precursor time of group telepathy, where more and more information will be able to be delivered. But this is something, this is a system that we are still in the process of reconstructing. We have had it, but then it was tampered with and bastardized, and it just got all completely fucked up. So we've had to do a lot of rerouting and a lot of reestablishing, a lot of regrowing of certain pathways that were no longer functioning. So this involved taking some of the blocks out and also growing new ones. Certain areas have been a real bitch, and we've decided to simply bypass them, and they're being dealt with. But in the meantime, so there are certain areas that are where we're no longer, I want to say wasting. I don't like the way that sounds. That's not a total match. I'm trying to get words that match the dominant vibration of the message. It makes me very sad to say that there are some areas that we are no longer, I don't like the way this sounds, but wasting our time. We're no longer wasting time trying to revive or initiate some people to action. People might be the wrong words. There were certain blockages that we were trying to lift up and reestablish flow in certain areas, and it didn't work. We're bypassing them now. The time is up. But that's good news for those of us who really wanted to see some progress. It's going to affect the financial system greatly. I'm very, very keen on this. And it's interesting to me that he's very, my snake is very attracted to my crown chakra today. Whoops. Hi. This is Kenji. So in the Joan of Arc lifetime, I don't want to always be going back to discuss things that happened in that lifetime, but I have been told that not only is it my karma to get these groups back up and running, but it's also something that is finally being delivered to us that we started then and had been unable to achieve until this time. Joan of Arc did not act alone. There were entire groups, the entire army. That whole story, if you're familiar with the story, there's a misunderstanding or a for some reason when I start to talk about this, there is very clogged energy there. I will tell you right now that there are certain beings that really, really don't want me to talk about this. They don't want to be revealed. I know who they are, and they know who they are too. I have been told that this information will not be concealed forever. Whatever I'm prevented from saying right now, I am aware of the fact that there is a snake around my neck. This particular snake is a fine representative of his species. And he's very friendly, and I have every confidence in him. I regard this one as an ally. So not all reptiles are not reptilians. This information is going to be coming out. Whenever I start to talk about, there's a certain body of information that I recognize that there's a tremendous amount of congestion whenever I start to deliver this particular information that has so far been avoided. It can't be avoided forever. There is the feeling in the construct, the portion of it that is still remaining, and it will all come down. You really need to know that right now. It's coming down, all of it. As freedom is achieved, more and more of the truth is going to come out. Some of it is mine to deliver. And some of the people are mine to deliver too. There was a mass consensus during that lifetime. There was a mass desire for freedom by not just me, but it was an entire group of people who were promised and put their trust in a certain individual who did not just betray me, but betrayed the entire country. All of his people. I'm aware that there's an energetic block. And by the way, this is not the information that I expected to come out tonight. And I'm going to get back to the information that I thought was going to come out. But my guide said right now, there is somebody who believes wrongly that they have gotten away with something. That's not true. There is someone who has not experienced the consequences of their actions yet. The entire Joan of Arc story it's set on the platform of war, but it appears to be here it is. You're witnessing the battle of energetic forces. As I speak, there are energetic forces. They flow through me and they're battling over me because some want me to speak and some do not. That entire story, if you follow the whole story, you will see that there's an underlying platform. What it's really all about is resource distribution. All of it. If you read that book, the story, Mark Twain's or any of the other ones, it's a real story. It really happened. If you read that, you will see that virtually everything is about something, an energy, or a person, or a thing that is trying to get, it's the fight for freedom, but it's all about how do you get something to where it needs to go. The amount of blockage is just indescribable. It has everything to do with our financial system globally. I think my nose always starts running when I do these calls because, or these live streams, because it's the energy of flow that we're bringing in. I believe that's what's happening. Every force evolves a form. Any energy that we bring in will produce some kind of circumstance. If you're hearing my voice right now, my guide said that the energetic transmission needed to come in today. We're working very hard around the clock all the time the amount of help, the amount of angelic help, the amount of ET help right now, the amount of help on the planet right now is indescribable. There's so much of it. They told me that it was very important for this information. It's not the information that needs to come through. They wanted to do an energetic check with as many people as possible right now for an energetic transmission of flow to go out. And if you have chocolate right now, if there's anything that you have, they told me to get some chocolate. I got organic chocolate. And they said that for the call, they want me to, quote unquote, consume something rich. We're trying to undo and reestablish. Let me rephrase that. During the Joan of Arc lifetime, certain vibrational precedents were established in the energetic field in space that are creating things that that are not helpful. It's not conducive to flow. We're trying to undo it. So what we have to do is bring that waveform back down to 0 point by applying the inverse wave. So one of the things that happened, we've talked, if you've watched my live streams before, we have talked about collective consciousness and the divine feminine. The emphasis on virginity, the emphasis on, there was a false belief that it was better to give than to receive. There's a hidden misogyny. There has been a hidden misogyny in the Catholic Church that just ran rampant, and it contaminated absolutely everything in all of the globe. In collective consciousness, the war here is really not ever for terrain, anything earthly. That's not what the war is for. The war is for, and that's merely a small byproduct, but the war is really for energy. And it's all won or lost according to collective consciousness. Who gets the collective consciousness of the sleepers? There's a massive war for that. So if the dark side has very, very deliberately planted, it's a good tactic because it worked. They have utilized the belief system. They have infected the belief system of collective consciousness with a belief that it is better to give than to receive. Consequently, the light army, who has mostly grown up in the church, and we have lifetimes, many of us, almost all of us, have lifetimes if we've been on Earth. If we haven't been on Earth, we have no... we suffer when we come here. Cancel. No longer. There has been hidden misogyny that, and they linked it they hid it many different places. So I'm going to be talking about this on, I believe it's Conscious Talk, tomorrow. But they said, my guide said, even though I have an interview scheduled tomorrow, they said this information needs to come out now. And if you have, and that's because everybody needs to eat some chocolate or something else rich. My guide said, consume something rich. Wherever two or more are gathered with similar intent, this is a powerful, powerful time of manifestation. So if we can get two or more gathered with the same intent, this is a very powerful pivot point right now. And that's why they said right now, I was going to do it at 8 o'clock for symbolic reasons, because I wanted to do it at 8 o'clock, but they said even before then, just start, just go. Don't wait. While while I'm talking right now, if you're listening to this, you are one of the people that they're working on our circuitry. They're working on amplifying the circuitry, connecting with others that you are connected with. There is an enormous system that I'm getting slightly off track. There's an enormous system. It's very much like a cloud, but it's a field of benevolence, but it's tangible benevolence. It's something that's going to flow to us. What they're trying to do is bring in everybody's data. So if you're listening to this, you are also a hub, and I don't have to know directly who you are connected to, but if you're connected to all of the people you're connected to, you're strengthening that, and you are acting as a distribution point or a distribution source for this powerful energy that's coming out of me. You're not going to have to try to do anything, but you're going to start to just carry it. And as you walk, your frequency, this frequency that's coming now through us and joining us, you're going to be the carriers that are going to help in the distribution and the upliftment of the planet. So my guide said, consume something rich and also grounding, because what we're trying to do is establish this incredibly high vibrational energy of benevolence and bring it all the way down to ground. So if you have so many of us from these higher cosmic realms have difficulty bringing this into the body. We have difficulty grounding because our own frequency and our platform, our operating system is all from above, and getting that degree, that amount of energy condensed has been where the difficulty's been. It's much better now that some of the density has lifted from the planet. As our physical forms are getting lighter, as there is less of the gunk, less of the darkness, as the density is actually expanding, it's much easier for us to bring our full energy into form. What we're really trying to do is that, but we're being met halfway by the physically oriented side, which is where they're trying to hoist themselves up, at least in theory. But what we have to do is ground, and we have to get rid of the notion. We have to take a practical action step to consume something, consume nourishment. Number one, the reason I'm using chocolate is because it still has a somewhat of a what's the word? You know how they call chocolate sinfully rich? Don't do that. We need to totally undo that. We need to change the energy of dark chocolate, or any chocolate, something that you enjoy. We need to have something that you enjoy that's grounding. Chocolate does have the properties where it grounds. So we're using this, at least I am. I've also used sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes will work. Any root vegetable will work. It's better if you can I'll get back to that later. There are certain root vegetables that don't work quite as well as others, and they have certain qualities that can undo. So I'll get back to that a different day. In the meantime, if you have chocolate or sweet potatoes right now, it would be a very good thing for you to eat. Something rich. Emphasis on consume something rich and grounding. With no shame whatsoever. In fact, I'm going to change that. I don't want to phrase it no shame, because your brain doesn't hear the no, so that says shame. Let's not do that. Fearless. You all know this. So what is a good way I guess with joy. Consume chocolate with joy. And just say, yes, I'm just going to keep eating chocolate. So the energy, they wanted me to do this on camera because the energy in the transmission that's going to all of you encourages reception, encourages consumption, and this is the thing that we need to undo from the collective consciousness. Also, men and women, but specifically women, have we have to deal with the issue of body shame. The issue of body shame, particularly fat shaming, has been, I've lost the sentence. Wait, there's a big gap there. Oh, because they don't want to let it go. Fuck you. They don't want to let it go. That's why there's a gap there. They don't want me to talk about it. It's being addressed. Hang on. They're working on it. It's kind of like they have road crews. It's almost like road crews. They look and they see where the brakes are when I'm talking. They see who it's not getting to, and they can make these adjustments. That's fascinating. So the whole issue of body shame has been one of the things that has prevented women from getting paid as much, because the war for collective consciousness, that's really what's going to win or lose the planet. What are you doing? There we go. We've already won, but the circumstance still needs to be adjusted. Our mentality has been such that women are carrying this contaminated energy that it's bad to be well fed. It's bad to be fat. It's bad to, they've been canceled. Also, this is happening automatically, but anything that's coming through my speech that is not, if I say it in a way where it's off, I'm asking, I think they're doing it anyway, but I'm asking for that, I'm hearing the word perfection, for the perfection, the vibration to come through. So if I don't get the words exact, the energetic transmission is pure. Yes, that's what they're saying. It's being tweaked so that the energetic transmission that you get is the pristine one without such distortions that may occur with my speech as we're going through this process. What they're trying to do is find the areas of distortion and adjust it as we go. Because what this is leading to is the telepathic network fully established, fully operational, where vast quantities of information is going to be able to come through me, but it's also going to come through all of you. And no longer are we going to have this hierarchy. We won't need it. There was a point where that functioned and it worked well. It was needed for a time. It's no longer needed when we get up there. But what we're really trying to do is really establish equality, which means that the channels, the avenues There must be equality. You know how if you were trying to link an electrical circuit, I'm not an electrician, but I think this is the way it works. This is the information that I'm getting, that if you were trying to link an electrical circuit and you had wires of different sizes, if one of them was capable of carrying a very strong current and the other one was just a thin filament, it would burn out the thin one. We need to reestablish the all of these avenues. Like right now, I'm capable of carrying a tremendous voltage. And voltage is the wrong word, but I can carry a tremendous amount of quantity of energy. What we're trying to do is equalize it so that I won't be carrying all of it. It will be equally distributed among all the people there. And then it's going to be a very, very easy and fast automatic sharing system. And at some point, we're definitely going to talk about, I feel like it might be a little bit later in this call. People have asked about the new system and how it's going to work. And sometimes when you think about a new system, it's very easy to not be able to understand it. Your mind still thinks about the way, how could we have hang on a minute. I'm stuck there. Just a second. Cancel. We can only see it through the lens that we already have. So it's very difficult for us to imagine living without monetary exchange or living without when the operating system is so very different from the one we've become accustomed to. Nonetheless, I think you're going to find it a very rapid adjustment, kind of like getting adjusted to vacation. It's going to happen a lot easier than you think. Once the thing is fully operational, it's going to be a delight. For one thing, we will no longer have the need for the same kind of absurd amount of documentation and record keeping and taxes and social security numbers and all of this little minutia. You have to know your numbers and your passwords, and that's all a bunch of crap. It all goes out the window. You are never going to have to learn. You're never going to have to keep track of anything like that again. It's primitive. It's really primitive. It's a pain in the ass. Even the people who do it don't like it. They're adhered to it because they fear loss of control. But what you have is full transparency. So any data that needs to be exchanged, it doesn't really need to be exchanged. It's just automatic. You simply see everybody and what they are. That's why it's going to change absolutely everything. It's going to change the banking system. You're not going to have a banking system, not even at all. You're going to have the resources that you need, and it's going to be apparent the amount of, they just know everything about you. Nothing is hidden. Nothing is hidden. They know your ancestry. You don't have to prove who you are. You don't have to prove what your lineage is. You simply live, and the resources are there. It works very much like oxygen. It just works like oxygen. You don't worry about where your next breath is coming from because it's all around you. It's in the air. That's the way the abundance is going to flow. It really does work this way. And you're not going to have to save or be concerned for your future because there's so much of it. The oxygen is not going to run out. You don't have to walk around with an oxygen storage tank just in case for your future if something ever runs out. And you can coexist with other beings like trees that there's just an exchange. There's always just a very easy exchange. So where was I going with this? Body image has the control systems deliberately and very sneakily manipulated our beliefs about body image and appearance in order to keep us locked into the financial system. I think if you're listening to this, you already understand the way that works. The way we have been taught to pay a great deal of money to look a certain way, or to focus on the facade, focus on the external. We have been taught that there's really only one or two good ways to look. We've been taught that it's for our own good if we have to maintain ourselves very, very thin or very lean, and it's for our own good. That's not necessarily true. They have tried to instill shame into the collective consciousness of the population, especially the females. They did this because they wanted us to consume less. What they're trying to do is maintain inequality. They're trying to maintain inequality because once we reach full equality and it's really equal, we're able to escape the matrix and go up to 5. And they have lost their control over us. The reason they subjugated the feminine is because the feminine is the side that receives. So they put all sorts of belief structures into the collective consciousness that force us to, or encourage us, strongly encourage us to keep ourselves imprisoned. So when we say, oh, I shouldn't look this way, or oh, I have a roll of fat, the reason, the underlying energetic platform, the underlying energetic reason for women being paid less is because they didn't want us to have it. But we're doing it to ourselves is the point. We're now in a situation where we're maintaining our own imprisonment every time we are embarrassed that we're too fat, or we think we shouldn't eat as much, or we're okay with the inequality. The question you need to ask yourself is where, and this is where you really take your power, right? Because it's, if you can go on as many pussy hat marches as you want, but trying to change anything in the external world is not where your power lies. That power, you might be able to mess around a little bit insofar as it changes collective consciousness a bit. But I guarantee you, the place where you really need to take your power is by taking it. Don't give it away to any external source, even if it is a women's march. Yes, you can generate camaraderie. Yes, you can spread a message, but by far, far more power is attained if you actually look at what your own patterning is. Figure out where you are not, where you have, where have you given them the agreement? In what area of your life are you saying inequality is okay with me? I'm deferring to the system. I can't change it, therefore I'll do it. I'm willing to be paid less because what can I do? Women just get paid less. Say no. Don't do it. There is an internal energetic shift. There is an internal energetic pivot point. And once that really genuinely becomes not okay with you anymore, everything will pivot. And not only that, as your vibration goes up, your own the amount of what's the word? I don't have a word for that. You become a much more dominant tuning fork. You know how you can have an entire room full of inert tuning forks, or and you can just strike one of them and all of the other ones will entrain to it. as you go up in vibration, your vibration becomes the dominant tuning fork that others will entrain to. So as you lose these dark patterns and raise your own vibration, take command, summon yourself to your own authority, your own vibration goes up and up and up and up and up. And it works very much like an equilateral triangle, that if there are sleepers on 3, we're not going to be trying to wake up people for much longer. It's basically over. At this point, I'm just delivering facts. But those who were at the bottom, we'll call them the sleepers. There has been a war for control over the energy of those people. There is going to come a point where a lot of the specific information, names, places, specific information about where we put it in, and also the way we put it in television series, movies, the way creation actually works. I'm going to be talking a lot about that. There is limited very limited creative ability granted to those who are anchored in the 3rd dimension, because if they had full creative ability, there would just be devastation almost immediately, because especially from the sleepers. So they're not given that. They're kept on a protective timeline so that they can learn to take command of to learn how to deal with themselves and create their own reality, learn that they even have any ability. So the war for the planet has been fought over energy of the populace, who can uplift it and who can take it's been the war for attention. So it's been the war for collective consciousness. I cannot overemphasize that what you put into your brain is important. What you allow into your own energetic field is vital. You need to take a look at all of your choices, all of your listening and entertainment material, and ask yourself, to what degree am I tolerating violence that I would rather not witness? To what degree have I said, well, I'm going to watch this because I want to be entertained and it really doesn't matter anyway. Violence doesn't bother me. I've learned to live with it. It's just pretend. Even if it is just pretend, if you are allowing your mind to be engaged in storytelling that allows for the existence of serial killing or dark imagery, if you're allowing this to be perpetuated, it is creating your world, and that influence is going to stay in your world. You need to make a decision that you will no longer allow this in your sphere. It matters a hell of a lot more than you think. It matters to the resources. It matters to everybody else in the group, for real. Like, I'm not even kidding at all. It's not a judgment. It's just something that you need to know if you choose. And a lot of people say that they want to ascend very, very high, and they want to go in the highest timeline, but they're still allowing certain things in their field that are not benign. They're not benign. And we are being tested here as really as never before. If you Okay, I would say do this. I would like you to look at, examine thoughtfully your viewing choices. What are you choosing to watch? What are you choosing to allow? What images are you choosing to allow into your brain, into your ears? What are you allowing your eyes to see? You need to nurture yourself and your own vibrational field as though you were a child. Remember, for those of you who have raised children, remember when you would stop discussing unpleasant things when the children were in the room, or you would keep certain influences away from the children? You need to do that with yourself now. You need to go around. This is my strong suggestion. Pay attention to the next time you're watching something, like if you're watching a series and because you're looking for something to be entertained by, and it's on, or it's what it's available, choose very carefully, thoughtfully, and think about the vibration, because there are the vibration of the imagery and these influences that you're allowing in your head. Because even if you watch them, so I'm not trying to make your decisions for you. Obviously, you're going to make your own decisions, but the error, people are being contaminated in ways they don't know. The same way, you know, you would eat maybe Wonder Bread or whatever before you knew it was poisoned, or you would use Roundup before you knew anything about Monsanto. Pay attention to what there is on Netflix, what there is on, what your own choices are, and mostly pay attention to what your own choices are. Examine the way you choose. So when you are given an array of choices, and maybe while you're watching something, pay attention. Don't lose yourself in the story so much that you stop paying attention to what's going on with your own emotions. And don't think that you're not being hypnotized, or that you're not a commodity. I guess that's what I want to say. You're setting up a two-way system, and whatever you feed with your attention is going to grow. So I will tell you what dark forces want from you. So a lot of people think that they are, I'll get back to that in a second. A lot of people think that they're on the Ascension Path, they're very happy, and they think that they're making all these healthy choices, but then they're doing certain things very unconsciously, and as a consequence, they are feeding the wrong side of the scale. And I guarantee you that is desired by the other side. That's what they want. They want unconscious people. They want people to say, oh, it doesn't matter if I do this. It's just entertainment. It's just a story. I can tell you from firsthand knowledge, the way you are easiest to reach is by stories. You know why? Because your guard is down and you think it's nothing. We do that too. We have targeted the times when you just want to veg out. Unfortunately, I'm on the light side. I'm telling you, this is the way we operate. The dark side does it too. So wake up and pay attention. If you're vegging out to Netflix, pay attention to your choices. So what's happening with a lot of entertainment choices right now that are on the smorgasbord, and you will notice if you're paying attention that it is a very mixed bag. What they're doing, it's them and us. They do it, we do a counter move. It's everything you see is going to be, most things anyway, are going to be, you're going to see a lot of polarization. In any given show, there's going, I shouldn't say that. Let me rephrase that. I know, I see that I've gotten a little bit disjointed. There's information, you know why? There's information here that there is conflict over. You will notice that when when the speech is flowing well, there's not a lot of disagreement, and we've got one stream of information going. The place where my speech breaks up, it's because there's still conflict in that area and they don't want me to say it. There are certain shows, you can find them yourself. There are certain shows that are really predominantly positive, and it's kind of like things you would let children see. Or things that are mostly positive. Like you can safely watch Arrested Development. If you watch something like, trying to think. I don't know what the name is because I never watch. I'm scrupulous with my vibrational hygiene. Unless my guides tell me to go look at something very specifically, for reasons that they usually tell me you need to look at XYZ, and I went and I found it. Like they told me to see Legion one time. They told me to watch Legion, and it was when I was taken to court and accused of being crazy. And they told me specifically to go watch Legion. And when I first saw it, I was like, I can't believe that they're telling me to watch this, because so much of the imagery was incredibly disturbing. I had to take measures to make sure that I was not vibrationally picking it up. So one thing you can say, if you're going to watch something like this anyway, take vibrational matters into your own hands. If you cannot avoid something completely, make a very, very strong intention. You need to really summon all of your energy back. You can do this, and you need to. Summon all of your energy back and say, you can say it out loud. You don't have to say it out loud, but you can. You can say it silently, but what's really important is that you create a strong intention and with deliberation say, I'm not feeding that. You do not have my agreement to come. I will not enter into any kind of energetic exchange with this imagery. I don't want it in my field, and I'm not going to feed it. You need to cut the tie with anything that you disagree with. Be extremely careful about what you allow into your head. You need to really kind of be, you need to stand up a lot more about it. Do not defer. The place where this war, I mean, basically we've won the planet, but you cannot get complacent. Because can certain individuals be taken down? Absolutely. And for those of us who have been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for the new financial system, or for some sort of external thing, when will the circumstance get better? It's not going to get better until it has reached the tipping point. So there are places where the vast majority of people have not taken their power, even the ones who are awake. There are sneaky little spots where they can still really take you down. They can get into your field. They can make you not have all of your power, because they still want to suck on you. They want to use you as a food source. So don't let them. In a very practical way, the best thing you can do is scrupulously really examine what you're doing and look for places anywhere in your life where you are deferring. The word is defer. Where do I think I have no choice? Where have I decided that I'm not going to fight this particular issue because it's just the way it is? Emphasis on female equality. Where are you okay with inequality? Wherever that is, fix it. That's your personal assignment, because collectively we're not going to get this thing up through the 11 gateway until there is equality. So you have to figure out what side, or where are you deferring to? Where are you okay with it? So my guides were talking to me all day today. They kept dropping stuff. I mean, I'm always in contact with my guides anyway, but today they were dropping specific pieces of information about even particular people that they told me that I need to go speak to certain individuals about things that they're doing where these people do not recognize that they themselves are what's holding it up. They don't believe that they have any power. They also do not recognize their own privilege. This is an important thing too. Many of the people in power who have the actual ability to shift the whole fucking system for the rest of us are not standing up and fighting because they're too comfortable. They don't recognize the place where they themselves were the beneficiary of privilege. If you are in a position where you have been, you're basically just living a happy, comfortable life, you don't recognize, a lot of people don't recognize that they themselves have been the beneficiary of certain degree of privilege. And because they're so comfortable, they're busy taking vacations, or they're working, but they're really not making any sacrifices at all. When you really, as you go up, you're going to start recognizing that, yes, you were always part of a group. And the same way, if you have two legs, you're not going to just keep feeding all of the nourishment to the one leg and making the other leg that doesn't have any nourishment do all of the work. The healthy leg should be the one hopping. There is a pronounced lack of initiative, lack of action taking being exhibited by those who have enough to share. Sharing should be your first priority at this time. There is a rebalance coming. It's going to feel, it's going to feel somewhat, it's going to feel somewhat harsh to the people who are experiencing it, but really they're being told that they need to start doing their own job. This is going to happen for an entire group of people. There are a lot, and I've been told to talk to a couple of them specifically who have been placed in positions of where they're able to influence others and are just too lazy and comfortable to do it. I was 4 times today, and it was specifically the number 4. So we're talking about structure. There's something that needs to be shifted. And the people that I was told to talk to have been given this message repeatedly and just haven't done it. And I was told that they've missed their opportunity. And I was told to be, I'm a little worried because I know them and I love them. And I don't like when people get mad at me either. But I was told that I need to give pointed instructions and more strongly, because we're going to be leaving, and these people need to step up a lot more. Step up. If you are in a position where you have a regular weekly income, and it's a privilege, and you have health insurance, and you have a home, and you're in no threat, you have made no sacrifices really at all. You give, but not to the point of ever actually sacrificing something for someone else. In the fifth dimension, is there going to be all of this sacrifice? No. We're moving into a time where it's no longer going to be the age of Pisces. We're moving into the age of Aquarius, where we don't have that anymore. Nonetheless, in the old construct, there was a group of people, and a number of these, there is still there is an energetic, oh, how do I say this? There's a lot of interference here. There was a certain privilege granted. There was a certain, how do I say this? How do I say this? There was a quantifiable amount of crap that needed to be redressed. Some of us have done all of the work, and those who wanted to maintain the privilege that they gained liked their privilege and didn't want to part with it. So they have done none of the work. It's not up to me. I know it sounds like I'm like this heavy hammer. I'm really just the messenger. It would behoove you to listen. By the way, the people who are on this call aren't those ones. I'm not sensing that this person is listening. However, they will in the future. And I'm not going to harp on this for much longer, and it's not going to be all that long of a call, a live stream. But there is definitely some, one or two beings who really do believe, one specifically, who really think that they got away with something. Nope. And it's not up to me. You did it to yourself. There's nothing I can do. There's no intervention. There's no intervention for me. I can't do anything for you. I know you will ask. I cannot help you with this particular thing. Some things just come back because that's what you gave out. Anyway, there's going to be a call that I'm going to do with Linda Summers tomorrow. You can stay tuned for that advertisement. I'm not sure what's going to come in. A lot of this, I think we're going to keep talking a little bit more about feminine body image, because there's something there. We need to fix the financial system. And there has been such contamination of all of the light works with all of these long past life histories of being in the church where they weren't allowed to have sex, they weren't allowed to have money, they had to give away all of their possessions, they had to and they were taught that women were bad, that receiving was bad. We're clearing all that crap right now. Go eat some chocolate with a great deal of joy. They told me to consume something rich. We're bringing in money. We're bringing in nourishment. We're bringing in joy. We're bringing in candy. And we're bringing it down into the physical, which is why it's chocolate. We're setting up an energetic vibration of agreement in this sacred group that we have right now. We're setting up a vibrational initiative that's going to go out and be carried and transmitted through all of you. Chocolate is the best, one of the best things you can possibly eat. Organic chocolate. It should be a celebration of nourishment, a celebration of accepting the sweeter things and joyfully receiving the sweeter things in life. That's what we need to do. So what we're doing is actually, we're bringing it back to 0 points. So we can establishing a platform for the creation of the new. So that's what we're doing right now. We bring it back to 0 point because we need a clean platform from which to work. So I'm going to eat one more piece of this on camera. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do this. I have another bar. It's a virgin bar. I'm opening the bar right now. I like that idea. And it's espresso. So I'm going to link the intention of this symbolically, that one, it stands for a new venture. It's freshly unwrapped. It's sweet, it's grounding, it's rich, it nourishes me, it has a lot of antioxidants. It fattens me up, I'll take it. Symbolically, we want to be fatter because we're trying to address the financial system. And it's espresso, which means it's extra rich, and it also has caffeine. So we want something that's going to accelerate our progress forward. So this is a perfect symbol. And I'm breaking it in half, and I'm giving this piece to you. Snakes stand for transformation. Also, Kenji is orange, so that's creation. What else do we have? I'm trying to amplify this with as much intention, as many layers of intention as possible, so that when I eat it, I'm going to say that it's like a communion wafer as well. This is symbolic . Okay, this is symbolic of all of the things I just mentioned, and I'm actually going to, let's link our energy further. So right now, look at this piece of chocolate. Send me your best, most positive energy. Put it into this chocolate, and I'm going to eat it, and I'm going to do the same thing with you, and this is yours. And we will just feel that agreement. Wherever two or more are gathered. Thanks. I think I'm going to end this call. Stay tuned tomorrow. I know that they've been working on the circuitry. It's going to continue to run tonight. It actually always continues to run. As you sleep, oh, okay. They want me to finish this. We're going to be talking about templates, about individual components, or how each being is comprised of different strands of light. And I feel like it's not going to be at this call, but they want me to use the game Spot It to talk about, okay, not yet. As I talk, they're braiding, or they are connecting all of you with me, with the networks that we already have established, by combining these strands of light. It happens mostly behind my head. I can see in front of me, I can watch the screen, and mentally I can connect with all of the audience. I can see the energetic streams of the people who are listening, as well as that the people who are going to listen in the future. And as we're having these connections, angels and a tremendous amount of spiritual help behind me, who are looking at who can go where and who can link with the other ones that match. In this way, we are establishing the initial. It's going to get a lot bigger. It's going to get a lot bigger. We're establishing the initial network that will function as the financial circulatory system. It's going to develop at the same time as the massive telepathy, the delivery of large quantities of information back and forth, not just from me to you, but it's also going to go from the audience, from the audience to me, and also toward one another. We are. This is the inception. This is the threshold. When we cross over fully, we're going to continue to establish this network for a while. It's not fully developed, but right now it's almost developed enough where there's going to be a jump once we hit a tipping point. It works very much like the 100th monkey idea. And we're just at the precipice, but we want to make sure that there is a net. There's so much help available. It is not nearly as unstable as it seems like it would be, because we have a difficult time imagining the way that's going to work. But it's actually going to work so much better. Oh my God, the amount of relief, the feeling that I get when I put myself over that threshold is primarily one of just immense relief. And I'm not the only one who feels it. And we all feel what the other ones are feeling. And that's why there's not even a word for it. The jubilation, the rejoicing, it's not too small. It's that word is too small. It is so free and so expansive. All the limitation is gone once we get there. I would ask you, I mean, we want to get there so badly. I would ask you, please don't slow us down by listening to garbage. It's just holding you back. I know you don't realize that. So many of you don't recognize that you don't have to tolerate that. Say no to it and then turn it off. Watch something uplifting. The people who are, there was some person who told me that in her dream, her guides, she had decided to take public transportation. I would ask you not to do that. Don't wait for the collective consciousness to carry you. Don't be that freaking lazy. If you know that you need to go through the door, and get up off your chair and make the choices, make deliberate choices. Say, I will not allow this in my house. I will not allow this in my head. I think I told you guys this before, but I have a pair of headphones and I don't leave the house without them. I'm a freak for immaculate vibrational hygiene. I don't listen to popular songs on the radio. Just be careful what you're allowing to be an earworm. to catch on in your brain, something that you're repeating and that repeats and repeats and repeats, that disrupts. If that's in your head, instead of your guide's voices, you could be hearing your guides, except you've got something going on because you were careless about what you allowed in. Sometimes, yes, music can give you messages, and I get that constantly, but you need to make a deliberate choice for what you will or will not allow. Don't be lazy about it, because if your guides need you get a message with music, you will. They will send you something positive, but you have to make a conscious choice that says, I will no longer tolerate violent imagery. I refuse it. I don't want to see any of it. You have to actually make that decision that you won't allow it, because what we're trying to do is build up a tipping point of positive energy, and it needs to be bigger than the negative ball that they constantly reinforce. By far, the most people feed the negative side without recognizing what they're doing. And it's largely because they're lazy, or they think that it doesn't matter. It's on the background. I was shopping and they had this shit on the air, so what could I do about it? I just watched it anyway. It was the only thing on Netflix, and it was violent, but it wasn't too violent, and I knew it was, I like horror movies because it's just pretend. You're not doing yourself any favors. You're not doing us any favors. I just want to point out that it has certain effects. It's less judgmental and more, because you have the option of doing all of these things. I'm just saying, if you're somebody who really, really wants us, they want everybody to get to 5, and when is the QFS going to get here? It's going to get here when we're vibrationally ready. And so if you're making lazy choices, or if you're making untutored choices about, I have to do this, or it's the only thing available, be more scrupulous with your vibrational hygiene, and be a lot more enthusiastic about joy. We need as much high vibration to go in that direction as possible. And just, if there's one thing, I am going to close this call, but if there's hang on. Sorry. There's a big square gray something came down like a steel block. What is that? Clear it, whatever it is. They're working on it. They found it. We're all going to get there. Who wants to go? It's just a matter of when, it's just that it's so good. When we get there, it's going to be so good. So we all want to get there, and we're all impatient, and sometimes impatience can be its own resistance. I actually lost my train of thought. I would just ask, whatever. I think you got it. They were talking about enthusiasm. What you need to know is that, number one, there is the amount of help here is indescribable. The amount of help that we have now, right now, is indescribable. And I do want to mention the 5G grid. That is already solved. As disturbing as it is, that's something that's already taken care of. If you engage, here's the tactic that they're using. The dark side knows that it's lost. They know that we're lifting the planet. There is no possible way at this point that they can win. What they're doing is, sorry, I heard something. They're trying to do as much damage as possible on their way out the door is basically what it is. They're trying to slow down their own demise, and you can't really blame them. It's basically like death throes. They're trying to, the 5G grid is just something that they're trying to do to counteract like the twin flame grid and all the other grids that we've put in place. It's not going to work. There's a tremendous amount of ET technology that is already totally ready to wipe that out. Certain things have to be in place ahead of time. Yes, they're cutting down trees. Well, we're going to replant them. Please don't feed that with your attention. Be very, very, very careful about be mindful about where you're placing your attention, because your attention is actually feeding whatever you're looking at. So look at something good. If you're going to look at the dark agenda, try to do it from a place of emotional neutrality if you can. And if you can't, then it's better to have one big angry explosion to purge and then just reestablish your center and be as enthusiastic as possible. Some places the real purging process is still occurring. There's help available, but try not to worry so much about the 5G. There's a lot of help. It's not going to go forward the way they are saying it will. It won't. Don't worry about that. The best instructions are pay very close attention right now to where you put your mind. We need you to focus on beautiful things. Hold a vision in your head of what New Earth looks like for you. In fact, we might wind up doing, I see this in the future a little bit. It's not tonight, but we're going to wind up talking about the new educational system, the new financial system, without getting too specific. Because if you're going too specific, it's almost taking your attention down into, we need it to be broader and group oriented at this time as opposed to individual specific, because on an energetic level, it is more helpful for us to build community everything right now. That's why when people say, well, can you tell me what's it going to be? Is it going to be cryptocurrency? Is it going to be, are we going to go to gold backed, whatever? What you need right now, the most helpful thing you can do is to trust and connect. Trust and connect. Trust, have faith, have love for one another, connect. The more you can just let go of all, I don't want to say all things specific. Embrace the feeling that you want. We're going to feel it real. There really is a different way of creating from the higher dimensions, bringing it down to form. And that is our specialty. So we're going to be able to do that very well. It's just a matter of connecting. So we need to connect more, get the vibration up and enlivened. So I'm helping with that. And you're helping with that now too. If you're carrying this vibration, if you picked up this energy tonight, you are now transmitting it as you go. So I would encourage you to think about that and just be very mindful with your choices and eat a lot more chocolate. Now I think we're done. Okay. Cheers. I love you. I don't know when the next transmission is going to come through. Maybe it'll be tomorrow. But I am going to do that show with Linda Summers. So stay tuned. Follow me on YouTube. I have like no followers there, but I want them. So I love you. I'll talk to you later. Bye.